Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tavern. This is the final member of the Zodiac. That's right, we're covering the Pisces. Now, I know what some long-term fans might be thinking. Hey, didn't you do a Pisces video last year? And the answer to that is I sure did. Unfortunately, that video was my first Tavern tale. It really wasn't quite what I wanted it to be, and so I decided to just remove the old one, make a brand new and improved, better, awesome version for all you Pisces out there, so you don't have to go getting your fins all crunkled up. The Pisces is a water sign, as we've covered in previous videos. This means it's malleable, emotional, and intuitive. Before we get into the Pisces, let's just kind of review the previous two members of the water sign group. The first is the Cancer. This crab is gruff exterior, soft interior. They tend to be very compassionate and caring to those they've grown close to, but you have to get past that heavy shell and those big pincers in order to get to that point with them. The second was the Scorpio, who is very much more open-hearted, is very willing to help, very compassionate, caring, but if you upset them, they know your emotional weaknesses and they will strike hard. They will make your life miserable. Do not upset a Scorpio. Now, how does that compare to the little fishies, the Pisces? Let's find out. There are a lot of positive things you can say about the Pisces. First off, they tend to be creative, empathic, compassionate. They make really good healers or therapists. They're generally positive and really enjoy being in relationships with other people. They also like to take breaks on their own to recharge their energy, but overall, they're very adaptive to situations. These are great positive traits that can make a very good friend or lover because their ability to kind of show their compassion, their creativity, and their ability to really grasp on to relationships is always helpful when trying to have someone you feel close to. However, there are some negative traits that come along with this sign. These negative traits include getting easily upset, difficulty sticking with a project, difficulty expressing their creativity, not being responsible with time, being very needy, very codependent in relationships, difficulty with boundaries in many different ways. In addition to that, they can tend to get a little bit lost in their own little escape from reality, and worst case scenario, that escape can be self-medicating via whatever drug or behavior of choice they prefer. Bottom line is, the Pisces can be a really good friend, very compassionate, helpful, creative, a great person to have on the team. But you're going to have to deal with the selfishness, you're going to have to deal with their difficulty kind of expressing themselves sometimes, and that stupid fragility of emotions that makes them throw hissy fits or guilt everyone into doing what they want to do. Like every sign, the Pisces is a mixed bag. And if you can find a Pisces who's very much built on those positives, you can have a really good person in your life. If they're really built on those negatives, I highly recommend finding a different friend, because those traits can cause you a lot of trouble down the line. However, you're not here for the astrology, or maybe you are. But either way, let's take a look at the mythology of the two fishes. The tale of the Pisces is a very simple tale connected to a much more complicated tale. The Pisces is the story of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and her son Eros, god of erotic love, who needed to escape the great monster Typhon. To do so, depending on the version of the legend, they either transformed into fish and swam down the river to safety, or dove in a river, grabbed onto fish, who then carried them to safety. Most legends say the gods who were non-combatants transformed into animals to escape, so I primarily go with the they transformed into fish story, but it's more common to hear they grabbed onto fish and sailed away that way. Now, Aphrodite and Eros are interesting characters and really do deserve their own videos. But today, we're going to talk about the monster they ran away from, Typhon. Typhon is amazing. He is the biggest, baddest monster in all of Greek mythology. It is said that Typhon either has 50 heads or 100 heads, depending on who's writing the story. He has a humanoid body, but his legs are twin snake tails. He has huge wings that allow him to fly over the earth. He has big arms that give him enough strength to throw mountains. This is not a monster you take lightly. The origin of this beast comes from one of two different versions of the story. The first version is that after Kronos was slain and the Titans had been thrown off of Mount Olympus and the gods took over under the command of Zeus, Gaia, the Titan of Earth, was so upset that she gave birth to the ultimate monster. Other versions say that the birth was due to Hera, Zeus's wife. In one telling, she was very, very angry with Zeus and some of his gallivanting around of other women. So in one version, she goes off and with her magic is capable of giving birth to the beast that will eventually grow up to become Typhon and threaten all the gods. In a different version, she goes down to Tartarus and finds Cronus there and asks him to have some way to get revenge on her cheating husband. And he gives her some eggs, and then Hera goes out to a mountain, buries those eggs. By the time the eggs hatch, however, Hera is already made up with Zeus and is completely shocked to see the kind of monster she's unleashed upon the world. Personally, I like the version where Gaia is upset and gives birth, because when you put this on Hera's shoulders, it just makes Hera more evil and more destructive than she really needs to be. And Hera has already done some pretty bad things in mythology, usually to get revenge on her husband for the terrible stuff he does. Now, what happens with Typhon? Well, however he is born, when he finally comes to full maturity and becomes the big snake dragon monster man, he goes and assaults Mount Olympus. The gods freak out. Most of them know they are no match for this powerful beast, transform into animals, and run away. It is believed many of them ran as far as to Egypt to get away from the destruction of Typhon, who was raging not only across Greece, but across the entire Mediterranean. There are different stories that tell of the fight between Zeus and Typhon. Many of the stories usually have Zeus overpowering Typhon relatively quickly. And frankly, I don't like those versions of the story, because this huge threat that caused the gods to flee shouldn't be easily taken down by Zeus. So the version I go with is the more brutal, smackdown fight that shakes the earth to its core. In this version, Typhon flies towards Mount Olympus, and the gods flee. Zeus, seeing a monster fly towards Mount Olympus, creates forward a lightning bolt and throws it at the monster, and then throws another and another, and starts raining lightning bolts down upon Typhon, striking his wings and making him lose the ability to fly. He falls and crashes into the earth. Zeus, knowing a monster like that could not be slain with just lightning alone, gets a hold of an adamantine scythe and flies down to earth to continue the battle with the large beast. When he gets into melee range, he starts hacking and slashing away at Typhon. And Typhon is already hurt from the lightning and now wounded from this blade, and launches himself up into the air again and flies away into some mountains. Zeus, knowing he has the upper hand, gives chase. However, Typhon is no fool, and instead lands in the mountains to set a trap. When Zeus comes down to face him, he sends out his snake-like legs and grapples Zeus. Eventually, he puts enough pressure on Zeus that he drops his scythe. Typhon takes the scythe and uses the blade to slash the sinew of Zeus's arms and legs, and takes the sinew for himself, placing it inside a bag made out of a bear pelt. Gloating over his victory, Typhon takes Zeus to an abandoned island to leave him there to eventually just die because he cannot move his arms or legs no longer. However, Zeus has one thing Typhon doesn't: family. And Hermes, the messenger of the gods, alongside Pan, a satyr, make their way onto the island where Typhon is sitting on his throne and gloating about having defeated the king of the gods. And while they sneak in, they grab the bag and remove the sinews. Using his super fast speed, Hermes makes his way back to Zeus and reattaches his sinews so that Zeus has access to his arms and legs once more. And Zeus is ready for the final round. Seeing that Zeus has revived, Typhon goes into a rage and he starts lifting up mountains and throwing them at Zeus, who summons his lightning and shoots the mountains, launching them back at the giant beast, hitting him and having those mountains fall into the ocean to create new islands. Typhon, weakened, tries to escape, but Zeus will not have it. Not this time. And Zeus, using his mighty strength, lifts up Mount Etna and drops it on Typhon, crushing him under the weight of the great mountain. And there, Typhon rests for all eternity. And the eruptions of Mount Etna, the smoke, the flames, those are Typhon's rage, still boiling. Because no matter how much damage Zeus did to him, Zeus did not completely kill Typhon. And if Mount Etna has a full-powered eruption, it may release Typhon back into our world. Or so the legend goes. Pretty intense, huh? I love this story. In my Final Fantasy Mythology panels, I always loved telling the story of Typhon. However, I usually had to tell the more abridged version, primarily because I only had so much time at a convention panel. Since I'm doing this as a YouTube video, I was able to indulge myself and discuss the story in its full, robust glory. I love this story. I think Typhon is one of the most awesome monsters in all of Greek mythology, and it's really nice to have those moments where Zeus gets to be a hero and not some sort of weirdo who creeps on every woman he sees. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what mythological monster you'd like me to cover next. I'm having a lot of fun doing these videos, and even though this is the last of the Zodiac videos, don't be surprised if more Greek myths make their way into my repertoire alongside myths from many different lands. Because there's a lot of lesser known stories that really deserve to be explored and hopefully kept here for anyone wanting to learn more about mythology. Until next time, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the tavern.